Good morning, everyone. Now, unless you have been living under the rock for the past 2 weeks, you know that there is a major festival, a major event happening at the school. The festival that I'm going to talk about today, as you know, is Halloween. Can you tell me, is this a fun festival? Or is it a festival where ghosts return? Many of you may think this is a fun festival, but actually, this is a festival where we celebrate the return of the dead. Now, 2,000 years ago, this festival began in a country called Ireland. So the Irish people back then started this festival. And the reason why they have New Year's on 1st of November was because 1st of November was the beginning of a dark, cold, and long winter. So the 31st of October was the last night before the New Year. And it was a time that was associated with a lot of deaths. Now, 2,000 years ago, the festival that was celebrated in Ireland was called Samhain. And the reason why they had their New Year's on 1st of November, which means they had their New Year the night before 1st of November, was because the boundary between the world and the supernatural world became thin. That means ghosts were allowed to come into our earth easily. And ghosts of the dead returned to cause trouble and damage crops. So what did the Irish people do 2,000 years ago when they knew that the ghosts would return to haunt them? They disguised themselves and wore costumes. And they also lit huge bonfires like you can see in that photo. So the reason why they disguised themselves is because they wanted the ghost to think that they were ghosts themselves. So they didn't want them to know that they were actually humans. And the other reason they disguised themselves was because they wanted to ward off the evil. Now, how about trick-or-treating? Many of you may think that trick-or-treating is actually a fun thing to do. But if I ask you what people thought about it 2,000 years ago, it was actually scary for them. Now, 2,000 years ago, ghosts of the dead people returned in human form, such as beggars, to ask for food or money. They would pretend to be humans, and they would come knocking on your door asking for candies. And if you rejected them, they would harm you. They would damage your crops and even kill your family. Now, you have seen that two colors have been associated with Halloween, and these two colors are black and orange. Black actually represents death, and orange symbolizes autumn. So that's why you'll see that these two colors are largely associated with Halloween and most often used. You can see around the hall as well, you will see a lot of orange and black. Now, many of you may think ghosts are all lies, I don't believe in all of this. But Halloween is actually a time when superstitions carry more weight, because the wall between this world and the supernatural world is thin. Now, superstitions are actually a widely held belief, but irrational belief, that is not based on scientific knowledge. And people believe in these things because they think they will have good luck. Let me give you an example of a superstitious belief in Hong Kong, which is the number 8. Many people think that the number 8 is lucky, but is there really a scientific research behind it? So we call that superstition. Now, a person who is superstitious, so a person who believes in superstition is a person who is superstitious. Now, let me tell you about some superstitions related to Halloween. The first one is related with black cats. Now, black cats are actually known to cause bad luck. So if you cross paths with a black cat on Halloween, that means a witch is nearby. And it is a sign of bad luck. And another thing, which is a fact, is on 31st October around the world, black cats disappear. The government advises people to keep their cats indoor because cats are a sign of bad luck and people actually harm them on that day, even until now. So if you have a black cat, keep it safe. The other superstition is related to birthday. If you have your birthday on Halloween, that means you are gifted. Ghosts will not come near you or even harm you. So the evil spirits will always be away from you. And then the other superstition is related to spiders. If you see a spider on Halloween night, that means the spirit of a dead one is watching over you. So be careful of spiders on that night. That means a ghost or a witch or the spirit of a dead one is near you. Now, what about Halloween in Hong Kong? So enough of the scary stuff. In Hong Kong, as you may know, and I heard some of you say that, Halloween is a fun festival. So what do people in Hong Kong do? They go to Ocean Park and Disneyland. So Ocean Park and Disneyland have the Halloween theme around in October. So people actually are all over Hong Kong. They would actually go to Disneyland and Ocean Park on 29th to 31st October to enjoy the haunted houses, to see people dressed up. So by dressing up, you can see that people also dress up in costumes. Now, Halloween, like I said, is considered a fun festival in Hong Kong, and people love to dress up in costumes. Some may dress up in scary costumes, but some actually dress up as movie characters or TV show characters. Can any one of you guess which TV show is the first mask from? Any guesses? Starts with money. I'm sure you guys have heard of the TV show called Money Heist on Netflix, where the TV show characters wore this Dali mask. So if you remember, 2 years ago on Halloween, this mask was actually very popular in Hong Kong during Halloween. How about this show right here? Which TV show is this from? Any guesses? So I heard someone say Squid Game, and yes, you're right. So these are the characters from Squid Game. So last year on Halloween, you remember Squid Game was very popular. So I dressed up as a character from Squid Game. Now Halloween is not about dressing up as scary characters. You can even dress up as a funny character from a movie or a TV show. So people in Hong Kong love doing that. And then there's Halloween Street Party. People in Hong Kong love to go to Halloween Street Party, which is always on the last Saturday of October, which means this year it's going to be on the 29th of October. Halloween Street Party is very popular in Hong Kong. People dress themselves up like this and go to Central. So if you are into enjoying Halloween, you can actually go to this street party. And then the other thing, trick-or-treating. Now, you may not know, but trick-or-treating is actually popular in some areas in Hong Kong. One in particular is Sai Kung. Now, if you go around knocking doors in Tin Shui Wai or Tuen Mun asking people for candies, they will probably call the police. So don't do that in these areas. If you want to do trick-or-treating, I suggest you go Sai Kung because it's very common there. Now, I want to end my presentation saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you have the fear of ghosts or the fear of Halloween, which is phasmophobia and Samhainophobia. This morning was probably not the best time for you, alright? But for the other people, I hope you'll enjoy the 2 days that we have Halloween English here in TCSS, and happy Halloween. Thank you.